Hello, everybody. Welcome to Blog Talk Radio, the Sales Professional Network. I am your host, Andre Harrell. This is Blog Talk Radio's first and only show dedicated to the needs of the sales professional, regardless of the industry that you're in. If you're in the sales business, this channel and show is just for you. We do focus on topics that are relevant to all industries, and the commonality is that we as sales professionals face similar challenges each and every day. And TSPN, the Sales Professional Network, was sincerely designed to create a forum where we can discuss these challenges and come up with some best solutions to meet those challenges. This show is brought to you tonight by AH Square and Beyond Consulting. That's AH, the number 2, and Beyond.com, delivering beyond our clients' expectations in sales strategies, marketing, and sales training. AH Square and Beyond, increasing our competency means increasing our sales results. Tonight's show is just my thoughts on last night's show, and last night's show was Why Do Corporate Sales Leaders Fail? So if you're coming back tonight after listening to last night's show, I say, hey, welcome back. Thanks for coming back and visiting our show tonight. And if you didn't get a chance to listen to last night's show, the show is in the archives view, so you can go ahead and check that out. It's saved in Blog Talk Radio, and you can hear that show in its full entirety. For those of you who are listening to tonight's program and would kind of like to join in the discussion, I wouldn't mind if you called in. That's okay. You can call in to the number 347-838-9979. Press the number 1 on your keypad. I'll notice you in the queue, and I'll get to you right away. I do want to thank Devin Hughes, who was our guest speaker last night. Devin from the Chief Inspiration Office, I thought did a really good job. Devin's thoughts on the whole subject of succeeding as a corporate sales leader in corporate America, and the fact that no one has to take an unselfish approach. I think his idea of coming into that type of environment, if you are going to be at a certain level, and in this case, I guess a high C level as a sales professional, taking this unselfish approach to your job and interacting with folks around you is something you probably should undertake in order to kind of set yourself up in a corporate environment and being the best you can be from a success standpoint. And I agree with that. And this subject is somewhat personal to me because I've always had this driven attitude to succeed on a high level of excellence in corporate America. And the thinking was that if what was expected of me was to be outstanding from a performance standpoint, from a sales standpoint, I thought that was it. As long as I succeed in getting the quota and generating the profits for the company, I thought that would be it. That was my responsibility, my number one responsibility. But what I wasn't prepared for, and I'll admit, was the ambiguity beast of corporate America, or some would say the gray area that exists in a closed environment. Admittedly, I've never been politically astute. I'll admit to that. I have no qualms in admitting to that. I've always tried to be myself in a form of integrity, honesty, and sincerity. And I'll be honest, at times that's gotten me into trouble on some occasions because I can be very direct. And again, I'm being honest with myself, and for those of you listening, I'm being honest with you. I can be very direct. However, I will agree in corporate America, this attributor style isn't probably always accepted, depending on the culture of the company. So I've had to kind of step back over the years and kind of re-examine how I come across to others. And I think we all have to at some point do a inventory on how we react to each other, which is a big step towards what I'm a fan of, and that's humility. I think one of the biggest reasons why a lot of corporate sales leaders fail is either avoiding or not having this ability to adjust. Now let me explain. When I say adjust, this does not mean adjusting in a sense of not being yourself, because I think that's where a lot of people get in trouble when they're not themselves. And believe me, I think there are people who are just have, they come across as what I call personality frauds, and they become the political gamers, as I kind of allude to them. And I think these kind of people will be found out, those folks that kind of go into an environment really not being themselves, and they get to a situation where they think if they play the political game that's going to get them far. And in some cases, it'll get them just so far. And I think it catches up to them sooner or later. And I think when you're looking through success through the eyes of others, and I will be guilty of this, adjusting what I do to kind of meet the needs of somebody else. I've always had this thought process is I've got to not be myself in order to be successful. I've got to, because to me, success is in the eyes of others. If they say it's, you're successful if you're a president or an organization, or you're successful because you have this nice car and this nice house, that's looking through the success of others. And how you get to that point, quite often, you're not being yourself. And I've always been somebody in my whole entire career, in my whole life. I have to be myself. And with that, whether that is, being direct or having a high sense of integrity as I do and a high sense of honesty, then so be it. That's just how I am. And I would submit that's how you should be, regardless whether you're in, the corporate morass or even if you're an entrepreneur. Being the best that you can be and being yourself is so, so important. And wading through, as I call it, all the nonsense of going through, the ambiguity of corporate America in many cases, you almost have to ask yourself, if you're going to continue to do that, and if I have to be successful in going through an environment where I'm not being myself, you almost have to ask yourself why. And I'll reiterate, there are people just flat out that are great at kind of wading through the ambiguity while others are not. However, as a corporate sales leader, you do have to come to terms of, do you want to deal with that? I have, and I'm sure many others of you that are listening out there have been enlightened over your career, through your career and life experiences, that moving forward you are going to do your due diligence to ensure that whatever environment you embark on is conducive to your values. And I said that last night. Sometimes we can't, for those of you who are out, looking for employment, or maybe you're employed and you're looking for another opportunity, sometimes with the economy the way it is and the times that we're in right now, beggars can't be choosy in terms of, picking jobs or picking opportunities. When they come, to us, we jump right on that. And, I'm here to say I understand that, again, especially if you've been out of work for some time. But I would also submit that, you may want to just take a step back and please examine the type of opportunity that is confronting you, because if you are going into an environment or to a company that doesn't, mirror your values, you will find yourself in the same situation. And let's face it, we've all been in jobs and we've all worked for companies that we've just known in our heart, this company's personality or vibe doesn't meet my core values from an employment standpoint and from an employee standpoint, as well as from a human standpoint. It's just the direction is not going down the right avenue that is conducive to my personality. And we've seen that over the years, and people getting involved in situations where, they might have grown through a company and they might have gotten to the point where they're at a high level in company, and then they flame out once they get to that top position, because they probably put aside, their personality, and they probably put aside, their values of who they are to kind of compensate for what they think success in that company is going to look like. And it kind of catches up with them at some point. And I would say for those of you listening to tonight's program and you're hearing me out, please make an informed decision before jumping into any perceived good situation. And I will repeat that, perceived good situation. And again, I know jobs and opportunities are hard to come by, but if you make the wrong decision by getting into an atmosphere that is not aligned, again, I'll repeat, not aligned with your values, again, you'll end up in the same situation. The second thing I would say that would certainly help the corporate sales leader is asking for help. We spent some time last night on last night's show talking about this whole idea of asking for help. And I certainly understand that when you get to a level in corporate America, whether you're in sales or whether you're in another occupation within the corporate environment, sometimes asking for help and this whole idea of asking for help can be a little bit controversial, because there's this sense of hubris when you get to a certain level of any corporation that takes place, and asking for help can be sometimes received as weakness or incompetence. Come on, let's be real. I understand that. And I've been in that situation before when you say to yourself, okay, I'm at a situation now, I should know everything, or what's expected of me or the expectations of me is very high, and I have to be on top of my game. So asking for help is going to be a sign of I don't really know what's going on, or I'm incompetent, or I don't have a grip on what's taking place within the environment that I'm in. And I got to tell you, that's absolutely wrong thinking, because it goes back to what we just talked about last night, as well as what I just alluded to earlier. If the company that you're with does not embrace openness or transparency, it's going to be somewhat of a risk to raise the white flag and ask for help, because that certain environment or culture's vibe doesn't accept this. And we've all been in situations where, again, you walk into a corporate environment and that company's vibe or that company's culture, it kind of exudes this aspect of, you should know everything, and if you ask for help, that is a sign of weakness, and we have a very competitive environment. And it doesn't, and the whole process is not conducive to you to kind of wave your hand and say, hey, look, I need some help over here. And that's when you'll have to adjust. And again, I alluded to this earlier, which I talked about. Adjusting means sometimes you may have to make the right turn and say, hey, look, this is not the environment that I need to be in. Adjustment does not mean change who you are to fit that environment, because it will catch up with you, as I mentioned also. But make the adjustment of, you know what, this is probably just not the organization for me. And we also talked about bringing in mentors and building various relationships that could provide you support and address your cry for help. But if the folks are not available, then what are you going to do? You should be still comfortable within any organization that you're in to ask for help. And again, let's face it, in the end, your failure, and this is probably the most important thing to keep in mind, folks. Your failure, if you're at a certain level in a company, will probably have a profound effect on the company's performance. So asking for help not only assists you, but it will provide a positive impact or effect on the company as well, especially if you're at a level where your decisions and the decisions you make can affect the company both, I guess, positively or, unfortunately, negatively. So asking for help, I would think, from a company standpoint, would be highly welcome, because if you're making important decisions, it affects our bottom line, which is our money, so to speak. So I do want to kind of go over some of the questions that I asked Devin last night and kind of give you my take on some of the questions and I guess my thoughts on it. And one of the questions I asked Devin was, what is your thoughts on corporate America, the good, the not so good? I mentioned this last night, and I want to reiterate this and make sure I'm very clear on this, and that my experience in corporate America was great. I would not change my experience in corporate, my career that I've had in almost 30-plus years in corporate America. I wouldn't change that for the world. From what I learned, the different experiences, the people that I've met along my career, the skills, boy, I tell you, the skill sets that I've learned over my career. I mean, I've got experiences in sales, marketing, training, business operations, sales operations, and just having that baseline competency in a wide variety of areas. I would not change that for the world. So when you talk about going through an entrenched training process in my career and going through all the quote-unquote ambiguity of corporate America and politics of corporate America, I wouldn't change that for the world. As a matter of fact, I am blessed that I've had the opportunity to go through that, because guess what? Now I can help others who are going through similar things that I went through in my career and helping them kind of wade through, that whole entire process as well. So I look at all my experiences not only as a sense of wisdom and experience, but I look at it as my ability to be able to help others kind of go through the same things that I've gone through. So I would not change anything that I've gone through in corporate America. I would say that's the good. I would say the not so good piece of going through corporate America is not knowing what you don't know. And again, that goes back to the ambiguity. The higher you go within any corporation, you'll be surprised that performance is not 100% of the goal, and it's not 100% of the objective. but it's how you interact with other people. It's kind of how you wade through the gray area or the ambiguity of, getting things done, communication, interaction, the unforeseen, all that type of stuff. Being able to successfully get through all that is extremely important. So I would say possibly the ambiguity piece of going through experiences in corporate America and not having the answer right there. And for those of you who need the answer in black and white right in front of you will probably understand what I'm saying. It's difficult because oftentimes the answer is not clear, again, from an ambiguity standpoint in corporate America. So I would say probably the not so good, which is, not knowing what you don't know. And all of us will go through that, regardless of the size of the company and regardless of whatever you do in life. That's a challenge. If you haven't gone through a certain experience, going through it, you may not be going through it, positively or successfully, can be a hardship. So I would say that. But again, I would think in my opinion and in my experiences, I should say, there are more pluses with my experience going through corporate America than there are minuses. And so I would certainly champion, if you have not had that experience, go through that experience, because if anything, going through adversity is, in my opinion, just as, prosperous than always going through success, because we can always learn from our adversity, right? So that would be how I would answer that question. And then the second one I asked Devin last night was, how can corporate sales leaders succeed in corporate America? And I think you could just go, and rewind and kind of go through everything that I basically said leading into tonight's half an hour show, which is, going into it with an attitude that you have to be yourself. And you have to make sure that you're true to yourself in terms of your own values and your integrity, and of course, most importantly, your ability to be able to interact with others in a positive manner, and lining up your values with the company's values, because I think that both is a win-win situation, not only for the company, but most importantly, for yourself. And also, too, if you do have the opportunity to become a mentor or build relationships along the way, that's very important, too, as well. And I think all of those type of resources can help you succeed through corporate America. But I would say the best way to succeed is always, at the end of the day, perform. I'll repeat that, perform. Because no one can, go against your record if you're a high performer. If you're a corporate sales leader and you bring in the sales each year and you perform each year, you inspire your team to perform, you get the maximum effort out of the teams that you lead as a corporate sales leader, no one can take that away from you. And that's the black and white. That's the paper, and that's the resume you have in front of you, and that's performance. So I would say, number one, ensure that you consistently, every day, every week, and every month perform. Because, again, no one can erase that track record or that past from your record. So that's the first thing. And the next thing is, build as many good relationships as you can along the way. And you'll be surprised. Those relationships don't have to be folks that are several, layers above you. Those relationships could be folks that either are on your same level, or even maybe, and I say this, I guess in a humble way, those folks that may be a couple layers below you. I looked at always in my career, and even more so today, that those folks that are perceived below me, I never looked at them that way. I always looked at an opportunity to be able to help those, because guess what? I'm going to be helped in return. So when you're building relationships, you're really identifying those people that have, the same values that you have, maybe the same ideas that you have. They could have some differences and opinions on certain things, and believe me, I'm a fan of diversity in thought. But you can always really team up with those folks who help you grow. And that's the key, finding, relationships and mentors, or whatever you want to find in terms of human resources. Find people that can help you grow, and in turn you can help them grow. And I would say probably those are the two things. that will, in my opinion, help you to succeed in corporate America as a corporate sales leader. And that is the relationships that you build, and then, of course, performing. And I can't reiterate that enough. Being the best that you can be and performing day in, day out. So that's my thoughts on last night's show. And I want to remind everybody that this show and tonight, and even the Sales Professional Network, this show has been brought to you by AH2 and Beyond Consulting. That's AH, the number 2, and Beyond, delivering beyond our clients' expectations in sales strategies, marketing, and sales training. AH2 and Beyond. Increasing your competency means increasing your sales results. And I tell you, our firm, AH2 and Beyond, we do a lot of that. We do a lot of coaching on C-suite type folks. We do a lot of coaching on individual sales performers, and we do a lot of coaching on folks that, you know what, you might not be in the sales business, but you need that kind of nudge. You need that kind of inspiration to kind of help you get through the days, the months, as I mentioned, the weeks, and even the years, and getting you through. And I always like to, like I mentioned, help those who are going through the same things that I've gone through in my career, because I've always thought to myself, the best type of help are the help that things that you've gone through in your life, the adversity that you've gone through in your life, the hurdles that you've overcome in your life. That's the best form of help based on those experiences in which you can provide other people. And we try to do that in our firm, and ensuring that we kind of get people to kind of see something maybe a little bit different that they have been seeing. So we certainly do that, and we want to take you up on that offer if you do have that willingness to want to increase your competencies and increase your performance, but also be a better you. We can do that here at AH2 and Beyond. We're going to be taking a little mini break next week. We're not going to have a show next Tuesday. Our network airs every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. But again, we're going to take a little break next week. But we're going to be coming back on February 21st in a couple weeks. And we're going to be talking to those folks who are currently unemployed or who are unemployed sales professionals and trying to get them back to work as quick as possible. We have a thought leader that's going to be on the show as a guest speaker, and he's going to be a thought leader on sales professional placement. We're going to pick his brain on how we can get you folks who are, still trying to find, that, I guess, evading job that you're trying to go after and that you're trying to grab, and maybe provide you some tools, some strategies, some tactics on landing that next sales position. And we're going to provide you some help and some advice on that. So please come back and join us on February 21st. Again, that's 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I'll also throw out there, too, for those of you who enjoy the show, enjoy what we're trying to do here in communicating, what's the best way to achieve performance and to achieve performance success in life. As a sales professional, the Sales Professional Network. For those of you who like this network, please, again, come back, but also tell your friends and colleagues about this show, too, as well. My mission is to help. I'm not here, with this show to make money. Of course, those things just happen. But my place here and the reason why we have this network is to bring help to those who are looking for help, who may not be getting the help that they're looking for constantly in their current life or in their current career or their company. And this is a place where all of us, and again, I say this at the beginning of our shows and each and every show, regardless of the industry that you're in, we all have a commonality. All of us in the sales business and all of us as sales professionals, we go through the same challenges and we go through the same hurdles each and every day. And this forum, sincerely, really was created to bring us all together and chop up on things that we deal with and come up with some best practices that we can take with us to not only help ourselves, but hopefully in turn help others too as well. So please come and see us again on February 21st. We're taking a little mini break next week, but also please push the follow button if you want to keep up to date on our show subjects and our times, and so that you never miss a show. And also too, I invite you to come back into my channel and take a listen to, I should say, my previous shows in archive view and podcast view too as well. So with that, everybody have a great rest of your evening, and thank you for coming back to my Afterthought show on the Sales Professional Network. Good night, everybody.